This presentation is called Performable Recordings, Co-Creative Harmonic Alignment for Electronic Percussive Playback in Real Time. My original doctoral research, completed in 2019, developed the concept of performable recordings, a practice-based model for bringing the sonic qualities of studio-produced electronic music into live performance. The central problem was that electronic music often depends on the precision, consistency, and post-production aesthetics of the studio, while performance depends on gesture, variation, liveness, and human agency. Rather than treating these as opposing values, my research asked how they could be combined. In that work, I explored ways of making recorded and produced material behave as something performable, using real-time mixing, processing, sample preparation, and performance design. One part of that research concerned tuning drum sounds according to the harmony of the song. At the time, this was not a plugin, it was a practice-based setup. The current project is the result of that earlier work becoming a dedicated software instrument. It asks how electronic percussion can participate in harmonic motion in real time, while still feeling like a playable drum instrument. The research problem begins with a practical observation. Percussive sound is not harmonically neutral. In electronic music, drums are often treated as rhythm-first material, but many drum sounds also contain pitch. A kick can have a clear low-frequency fundamental, toms often have audible pitch centers, even snares, although noisy, can carry resonant bodies that affect how they sit against the harmony. In the studio, these resonances can be prepared in advance. A producer can tune samples, automate pitch, or choose different versions for different sections. But in real-time performance, the harmony may move while the resonant drum components remain fixed. The performer may be playing correctly, but the sound can begin to work against the bass line or chord progression. So the question is not simply how do we tune one kick? The question is how can percussive resonance remain musically aligned with changing harmony in real time? The pitch problem appears differently across the kit. With a kick, the issue is usually low-end interaction. The kick and bass can reinforce one another, but they can also mask each other or create conflicting harmonic centers. In my thesis, this was described as avoiding a different harmonic focus between the kick and bass, especially because the sub-range is so important in EDM. With toms, pitch is often exposed because toms move through register and decay audibly, especially in fills and transitions. With the snare, the pitch issue is less obvious but still present. The attack may be noise-rich, but the body can imply a pitch. Manual tuning is still useful, but it assumes a stable or pre-planned harmonic environment. This project asks what happens when harmonic responsiveness becomes a part of the drum instrument itself. There are three theoretical strands behind the project. First, interactive music systems. Rowe's work helps frame systems whose behavior changes in response to musical input. That is important here because the instrument does not simply play fixed samples, it responds to musical context. Second, instrument-like control. Wessel and Wright emphasize latency, stability, and clear relationships between gesture and result. This matters especially for percussion. If harmonic response damages timing, the system fails as a drum instrument. Third, co-creative agency. Recent work on co-creative systems helps describe the machine as more than a passive tool, but less than an autonomous composer. That is the position I take here. The system proposes musically meaningful behavior, but inside the performance activity. This also connects back to my thesis, where liveness and authenticity were used to understand the negotiation between human performance and machine-like accuracy. In the drum chapter of my thesis, I developed a sequential layering approach. First came the character of the drum sound, the transient timbre and expression. Then came the pitch part of the sample, which defined the note or tonal center. I also proposed that the kick, snare, and toms could be tuned according to the chord being played, not only tuned once to the key of the song. The current plugin is the next step. It turns that prepared research practice into an integrated real-time instrument. The methodology remains practice-based. I'm not presenting the plugin only as a technical object. I'm presenting it as a way of testing a musical proposition, that recorded percussive material becomes more performable when its resonance responds to harmonic context. The design stage asks what the instrument should allow and what it should constrain. The performer should control rhythm, dynamics, and intention. The system may constrain resonance toward chord tones. The performance stage asks whether the result still feels playable. This is crucial because a solution that works only offline does not answer the live performance problem. The listening stage asks whether the result improves blend, continuity, and harmonic fit. So the contribution is judged through musical behavior, what the instrument makes possible for the performer. At the level of behavior, the system moves from harmonic cues to audible coherence. The instrument receives harmonic information such as monophonic or polyphonic MIDI input. It establishes a local context. I say local because this does not need to be a fixed key for the whole piece. It can be a momentary tonal center that changes as the music changes. From that context, the system selects musically silent pitch material. The aim is not random drum tuning. The aim is to guide resonant components toward notes that make sense in the current harmony. For the performer, this becomes part of the instrument. They play the drum part, the harmony changes, and the resonant behavior moves with the music. The interaction model is constrained without takeover. The performer remains central. They decide when to play, how dense the rhythm is, how it is articulated, and what the expressive direction is. The system does not replace that intention. Instead, it constrains one area of the sound, the harmonic behavior of resonance. It reduces the likelihood that resonant drum components clash with the musical context. This connects to Alan Moore's authenticity framework, which was also important in my thesis. First-person authenticity concerns the performer's expressive stance. Here, the system supports the performer's intention by helping the sound remain harmonically aligned. Third-person authenticity concerns whether the result sounds credible within the style. In electronic music, that credibility often depends on tight timing, low-end clarity, and polished relationships between parts. So, the machine contributes, but as a situated collaborator inside performer-led action. Before the listening examples, I want to briefly explain what the plugin is doing. F-Noise Drums is a 16-pad drum instrument, but each pad is more than a simple one-shot sampler. Each pad works as a 3-region sample engine where the sound can be divided into punch, body, and tail. This matters because the harmonic response does not need to affect the whole drum sound in the same way. The transient can stay tight and recognizable, while the resonant part of the sound can become more flexible. The plugin also controls for note-aware playback, including follow MIDI, key and scale behavior, region-level pitch shaping, synth tail, and tail layering. So, the design is not simply tune the sample, it is closer to building a multi-stage drum voice where different parts of the same drum event can carry different musical functions. The waveform editor is where that idea becomes visible. The first zone is punch. This is the transient area, the attack, impact, and identity of the drum. In terms of my thesis, this relates strongly to the character part of the sample. The second zone is body. This is the weight and bridge of the sound. It connects the transient to the longer resonance and it helps the drum remain coherent as one event. The third zone is tail. This is where sustain, decay, and resonance become most audible. It is also where harmonic alignment can be especially important because the listener has time to perceive pitch. The splitters define the boundaries between the zones and the crossfades smooth the transitions. Phase and offset controls help prevent the regions from sounding detached from one another. So, before we listen to the examples, the important point is this. The plugin is not replacing a drum sample with a tone. It's preserving the drum's attack while allowing its resonance to behave musically. The project is also concerned with the kit as a whole. In the thesis, the pitch follow idea already extended beyond the kick to include snare and toms. The plugin takes this further by treating the kit as a coordinated harmonic surface. If every drum simply follows the same note, the result can become redundant. The kit may collapse into one pitch center. Instead, different drum voices can occupy different harmonic roles. The kick may support the low-frequency foundation, while toms and resonant snare components can move toward other chord tones or related pitch areas. This is why I use the phrase drum ecology. The sounds are related but not identical. They remain rhythmic and gestural, while the resonant behavior becomes more musically situated. At this point, I want to move from description to listening and viewing the instrument in use. The first part presents the plugin in a production scenario. Here, the focus is on designing the drum voice, dividing the sound into punch, body, and tail, shaping the regions and listening to how the resonance sits inside the arrangement. The second part presents the plugin in a performance scenario. First, I will play an example where the resonant pitch of the drum components remain fixed, while the bass and chords move underneath. Please listen to the relationship between the kick and bass, the way the drum body sits inside the harmony, and whether the percussive layer feels fully integrated or slightly detached. In this version, the groove may be rhythmically correct, but the resonance is not responding to harmonic movement. A sample can be well designed and well mixed, but once the harmony changes, its fixed pitch may no longer be the best musical fit. Now, I will play the same material with harmonic alignment enabled. The triggering and groove are the same. What changes is the behavior of the resonant part of the drum sounds. The instrument is now listening differently. It guides resonance towards the current harmonic context. To conclude, this project argues that electronic percussion can participate in harmonic motion without losing its identity as percussion. The first contribution is a real-time performance model for chord-aware percussive resonance. This develops the thesis work where drum tuning according to chords was explored through prepared samples and performance design. The second contribution is a co-creative interaction model. The system constrains harmonic possibilities, but it does not take over performer agency. This continues the performable recordings concern with combining machine accuracy and human expressive performance. The third contribution is a kit-level conception of drum resonance. Rather than thinking only about the tuned kick, the plugin treats kick, snare, and tom resonance as a coordinated harmonic texture. More broadly, this plugin is a concrete result of the thesis. It turns the earlier drum tuning practice into an instrument that listens, responds, and helps the performer maintain harmonic intention in real time. Thank you.